Next, we're happy to welcome Allan Mott to the stage 1 year after his Pecha Kucha debut. Was anybody at PKN 21 at Colors restaurant? So you'll know why we left Allan to the end. Presenting tonight, and I'm going to mess this up, it's very difficult, Barbarella, Psychadelia, or Nature Can't Find a Way if there was nothing natural involved to begin with, we have Allan Mott.
There is a word we use for those works of art that somehow never managed to lose their relevance, that still feel as though they could have been created today. We call them timeless. And more often than not, they are the works we return to over and over again and find impossible to forget. Barbarella, Queen of the Galaxy, is not one of these films. It is a work so welded to its specific moment of production that there was really only a 6-month period in human history where it could have been created. You see, Barbarella is not just dated, it's transcendently dated. It's like a frozen ancient mosquito, frozen in amber, but in such a way that if you tried harvesting DNA from it, you wouldn't be able to recreate anything because nature can't find a way if there was never anything natural to begin with. It is a profoundly silly movie. One that tells the tale of a 5-star, double-rated astronavigatrix who is sent by the president of Earth to search out for Duran Duran, a missing scientist whose positronic ray could bring back war to a universe that currently only knows the ways of peace and love. Our heroine accomplishes her mission by taking the unusual strategy of changing her outfits in nearly every scene, getting captured and rescued constantly, and having sex with every attractive person she meets along the way. Which only sounds odd until you realize this is also James Bond's standard operating procedure. Barbarella is a monument to the artificial, in a way that the 1970s auteurist wave tried its best to make sure never happened again. That wave mostly succeeded because almost none of the films that attempt to recreate its appeal managed to get beyond the point of homage and pastiche. Barbarella, though, is the genuine fake article. It is an example of a kind of film we hardly see anymore. Garish, bold, and frequently tasteless, they represented pop art interpretations of the zeitgeist taken to ridiculous extremes. And for this, we can thank Roger Vadim, a man whose career is best summed up by the poster for his film Pretty Maids All in a Row, which describes him as the director who uncovered Brigitte Bardot, Catherine Deneuve, and Jane Fonda. That is to say, he's the guy who filmed a lot of pretty girls without their clothes on. Today, Vadim is not remembered as a great filmmaker, largely because he was not a great filmmaker. He wasn't even a good filmmaker. But Barbarella proves that even the marginally talented can crank out an important work if they time it right and everything clicks into place with an almost supernatural synchronicity. So-called timeless films achieve that quality because they don't challenge our current preferences or tastes. They're safe. But if a film that is so beholden to its period, it actually alienates us, not only feels more dangerous, it's also a far more accurate glimpse of the era it depicts. But what can a piece of cinematic cotton candy as seemingly inconsequential as Barbarella have to teach anyone? It doesn't actually depict 1968, but it's so of that moment. It is as much a documentary of the era's collective dreams as it is a silly sex-based fantasy. Barbarella is a love song to the sexual revolution, perhaps the most idyllic depiction of the conceit that the world would be so much better if we stopped fighting and literally loved each other instead. Interestingly, it's set in a universe where sex is now 100% mental, an orgasmic combining of psychic energy. In fact, our heroine doesn't have our old-fashioned version of sex until she reaches the last uncivilized planet in the universe. But when she does, she finds that she really, really, really likes it. So she has a lot of it. A lot of it. But But the film never once judges her for this. It instead presents her actions as innocent and entirely natural. And when the villain does try to punish her sexuality by subjecting her to his orgasmatron, he fails because the machine breaks before she does. It's as literal depiction of the concept of make love, not war, as has ever been seen on screen, which goes a long way towards explaining how the film fits in the filmography of its star, Jane Fonda, who in her many different guises, sex symbol, revolutionary, feminist, businesswoman, billionaire trophy wife, the new face of sexy senior citizens, has managed to serve as a symbol of the values of every era of her fame. Fonda has only ever expressed pride in Barbarella, not seeing it as an embarrassment to be ignored, but instead as a triumph to be celebrated. It is a film that glorifies both glamour and liberation, in which the doe-eyed nymph has the power to save the universe using only the strength of her appeal. We've seen so much ugliness in the past 48 years that we know that what the film is telling us isn't true. But that's not the film's fault. We created that ugliness. We always assume that a work feels dated because it's a failure. It never occurs to us that we're the ones who failed instead. No matter how cool you think you are right now, there's a 95% chance that a future generation will look back at you and laugh at you. It's the curse of time that very few of us can escape, but there's an easy way to beat it, and Barbarella serves as the perfect example. And that's, don't be afraid to be foolish and have fun. Stop being so serious all the time. If the future is going to laugh at us just because we're part of the past, then give them something to laugh at. Chances are none of us are going to be a part of something timeless, so let's embrace the time we actually have. Barbarella, Queen of the Galaxy is a silly film. But being silly, enjoying the moment for what it is something we should embrace far more often than we do. If only because it gives us the chance to wear so many more fun and colorful clothes. Thank you.